Hello ladies, welcome to my channel. Going gray is a big decision, especially when we are not quite granny age yet. And during our gray transition, we need to communicate with the rest of the world. What do we say to people's negative comments? Or what do we say in professional situations while we are still in transition? In this video, I will share some of my personal experiences with you and strategies. Hopefully, these will help you when you decide or if you decide to go gray. This is Adrienne here with Communications Plus, helping you communicate with clarity and confidence as you're shaping the world. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any practical tips. They come your way every Thursday. Before going into any details, I feel like I need to have a bit of a disclaimer here. In this video, by no means do I mean to suggest that you should stop dyeing your hair. If dyeing your hair pleases you, it makes you feel pretty, for whatever reason you like it, then by all means keep doing it. I understand. I dyed my hair for 23 years to be exact. And actually it worked very well for a long time. I loved going to the salon, especially when my kids were little. And then after a while it came to a point that it really wasn't fun. It was more of a burden. If you happen to have reached a point where hair dyeing has become a burden for you as well, then this video is here to help you. And if you enjoy dyeing your hair, you love experimenting with colors, and you like your time in the salon, by all means, no pressure at all. Enjoy. So that was my little disclaimer. After this, let's get to the actual content of this video. When I decided to go gray about 6 months ago, I joined a couple of Facebook groups. One of them is called Going Gray Gracefully, and the other one is called Beauty Reinvented. They were both very, very helpful. Women sharing their experiences, sharing about the transition, bringing up various issues that came up in their lives. And I just kept reading, and it was really so helpful for me to listen to these women who had walked this path before me, so to speak. One of the common themes that I found in these posts is that women were having a hard time facing the world. There were so many questions about, oh, ladies, what do you say to negative relatives? Or what do you say to people at your workplace who just keep looking at you but are reluctant to say anything, but they just keep looking at you and you know that they are disapproving, etc., etc. So these what do I say questions were recurring in both groups. So now at the end of my transition, I decided to make a what to say video because I experienced this on my own skin now. I sort of know what to say, or at least I know one solution, and I'd like to share this with you now. As I analyze my communication in hindsight, preparing for this video, I realized that more or less I've taken 4 different approaches of what I say and how I say it, depending on whom I'm talking to and in what kind of context. And arbitrarily, I've named these approaches the elephant in the room approach, the preventive approach, the philosophical approach, and the opening up approach. So let's look at them one by one. The elephant in the room approach is what I call a situation where people are reluctant to ask, but you know that they are curious. This is usually at the beginning when your hair starts to grow out, and maybe it grows out a little bit longer than what you normally allow it, like more than a centimeter. It sort of shows maybe a couple centimeters already. And then you get these looks like, I wonder what's going on. Has the hairdresser not opened, or has Adrienne fallen on hard times and can't afford going to the hairdresser? You know what I mean? Looks like that, but people are reluctant to ask you. I'm sure you also pick up on these looks in your life. And in these kind of situations, I would just address the elephant in the room, which was my hair. Say things like, yes, the newest thing in my life is that I'm growing my grays out. Or maybe even say, oh, I'm sure you're wondering why I look like this. I just decided to grow my grays out. I'm so happy about it. And then I would hear this sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, I was wondering. The second approach is what I called the preventive approach. To tell you the truth, it sounds a little bit silly even to me now, but it worked. It really worked. So what I would do is I would just start to make as positive comments about my hair and the outgrowth and the transition as quickly as possible into the conversation. And I would use this with people whom I expected somewhat of a negative reaction from. So I would make these statements. I am ready to fully embrace my middle-aged beauty. I look as though I was perpetually celebrating, don't you think? I just love my silver pixie dust. And it actually worked. You know what? It brought smiles to people's faces, and it really prevented negative comments, or maybe those comments would not have come anyway. Whatever. It worked. Once at the grocery store, a lady came to me, one of the salespeople actually, and said something like, "Oh, you know, those highlights in your bangs are so nice, but I think at the top you should use some dye." And then I just told her that, no, actually I stopped dyeing my hair, but thank you for your advice and I'm glad you like the bangs. And the third thing I would do is go into this spiel about the meaning of life and the meaning of youth and get all philosophical about it. Because what I noticed is that negative comments and negative thoughts often come from fear. And I think when it comes to gray hair, what people are really afraid of is the loss of youth. Or if not the loss of their youth, because maybe they are middle-aged already, but the loss of their youthful qualities. So I would go into this spiel about what I thought about youth and say things like, you know, youthfulness is not about hair color. It's about positive outlook and creativity and taking initiative. And it's about a forward-looking thinking. It is not a hair color, etc., etc. Which are things that I do believe. I do believe that youthfulness has nothing to do with style or color or outward things. It mainly has to do with attitude and what's inside. I know I had a lot of reservations about this transition myself. I have a son in high school. He's in his third year now, and I was very afraid that if I went gray, people would think, or his classmates would think that, oh, his mom is so old, and they would comment on it and maybe start to treat him differently. But really, I think these were just my hang-ups. The kids really don't care. And plus, most of his friends know me already. Just because the color of my hair is different now, I don't think they will think of me any differently. And I have even seen some of them after the summer, and no problem at all. And the fourth way I handled the gray transition conversation sometimes was just by simply sharing my story, opening up about how the dye became a burden for me. I would tell the story of how I enjoyed it for a long time, and then how after a while it just became such a routine that I had to follow no matter what, tell about the time devoted to it, the unnecessary expense, and how the schedule of dyeing my hair began to govern my life. I would share how I would adjust my appointments, for example, my professional appointments, according to when my hair was dyed or not dyed, or when I had to go to an important meeting, and then I would frantically call my hairdresser and see if they could fit me in, etc., etc. And people could really relate to these stories. I mean, women could really relate to these stories, because I know many go through the same thing, except they just don't talk about it, or they take it as a fact of everyday life, as though there was no other solution. So actually, this approach worked so well. A lot of women themselves shared their dilemmas and their experiences with me, and maybe I planted a little seed in some of their minds as to give gray hair a shot. And you know what? It's not a death sentence. If we don't like our gray hair, we can always go back to the dye. Beauty companies will be only happy to have us back as customers. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up, please, if you liked it. And do let me know in the comments what your favorite hairstyle and hair color is right now. I really look forward to hearing from you. Take care now. Bye-bye.